So as you all know, I like to collect items in Skyblock, whether it's like weird items or just really OP items like a 50 mil Midas sword, but I think I've really topped myself today. Now, it's not just one item, it's actually a bunch of items, because if you watched my last video, I said if I hit 100k subs by the end of the year, I would go for every armor set. When I said that, I was already in the process of getting every set, so I just kind of did it because I could. I'm basically displaying the really strong ones, or, you know, the ones that stand out the most, at least in these ones here. But if I go over to here, I have all these chests of armor. So I have these early game armors, mid game mediocre, a bunch of stuff, and basically I'm going to be ranking it all on a tier list. This massive tier list board that I made, because why not? Now, I'm not the first person to do this, other people have done it, but I'm going to show some perks of all the armor because, I don't know, I want to make it interesting. Now, I feel like all these armor sets here are like obviously the best ones. We've got tier 12 perfect armor, superior dragon armor, a few other dragon sets, and sponge armor, every tux set, diver's armor, which you'll see something cool about that later. The 2 blaze sets, because they added a new one recently, it's frozen blaze. It's not too much better, but it's there. Mastiff and Tarantula, other stuff. Anyways, let's get to work. So I'm gonna start with the worst ones first and go to the best ones. Actually, I'm not going to take out everything. I'm going to take out only the helmet because, I mean, these are obviously the stable Minecraft ones. I might as well rank them. So I'm thinking we're going to put these at trash, don't use, because, why not? Maybe diamond is early game, but these ones you shouldn't really be using. The next piece is the farm suit helmet and the mushroom helmet. Obviously, the other pieces are there. I'm also going to grab these other chests. I kind of ranked these, but I didn't really do it well. So I'm going to be re-ranking it, basically. So I'm going to get the lapis helmet and then these 3 pieces here. So for the farm suit armor, you don't get much defense at all. You get a little bit, so like 100 total or something like that. You get more speed on the farming islands, but I mean, you're not going to be really needing that because there are way better sets. This is also a pretty standard tier list, but we also have situational for things like angler armor. So I'm going to be putting this in maybe early game. This is mainly for the really bad ones that I just don't even recommend going for at all. Mushroom armor grants you permanent night vision and 3 times stats at night. So it's actually not even that bad at night. I'm going to be ranking this as like also early game. It has potential at night, but you're not going to be really getting much damage. Alright, the next piece here, we have lapis armor. You get it from the lapis zombies in the mines. You get more experience from mining ores, so that's like the only perk it really has. Decent for experience and stuff like that, but I don't think it's worthy of being in situational, because everything has their own abilities, so then everything could just be situational, you know? Miner armor. So this is basically the set that drops from the diamond zombies in the deep caverns. The stats on here are obviously terrible, but they get slightly better, dramatically better apparently when inside a mine, but there are still way better sets you can choose from. I'm going to be putting this in early game as well. Alright, pumpkin armor. Terrible stats. It reduces all damage taken by 10%. But you could also just get a better armor set that has more defense and more health. You also deal 10% damage, which is like alright, but if you're early game, you're not really focusing on damage much. You're just focusing on getting your health and all that stuff. I'm going to put this in early game. In fact, I'm going to put this in trash, don't use. Leaflet armor. You gain health while in the forest, but there's no mobs in the forest, and health doesn't really matter in the forest, so pretty easy to get, and you get decent health, so I won't put it in trash, but I'll put it in early game. Cactus Armor. You rebound 33% of the damage you take back at an enemy. It's not even that good because you can honestly just get Thorns, and even then, Thorns is not that great. Because the stats are bad, don't use it. We're gonna run out of rows. I made a flex board as well for like the ultimate flexes like Sponge Armor, because Sponge Armor is just not worth going for. It's cool, but eh. So for Golem Armor, it's decent stats. It's definitely better than all the ones we've looked at so far. It grants the wearer Absorption 3 for 20 seconds when they kill an enemy, so not bad, especially for starting. It's a little bit difficult to craft early game, 10 enchanted iron of everything, so I'd say it's like more early to mid game, I guess. I don't know. Here is Hardened Diamond, by the way. Pretty good defense for starting off. I highly recommend it if you're just starting. Definitely an early game set, but we're going to put this on the early game. There we go. Actually, I'm going to put this down to early game as well. There we go. We also have fairy armor, and the one thing I like about fairy armor is that the full set bonus is literally rainbow armor. The stats on this are not great, but you do get 1 health per fairy soul, so it kind of rewards getting that. It's like a fun set, but it's not a good set, so I'm going to rank this as, I'm thinking maybe early to mid game. I don't know. Obviously, these are both early game, but these are like slightly better early game. Magma Armor. Magma Armor, you get more health and defense per magma cubes killed. So I'd say this is more of a mid-game set. The stats are decent. It doesn't have much defense, but you get more intelligence and health when you kill more magma cubes. It's pretty good for getting like 600 mana or something. So I'm going to put this in the early to mid-game section. We also have Ember Armor, which is not that bad, but I don't recommend it. It's definitely an early game set. It prevents you from taking lava and fire damage, but there's also talismans for both of those. I'd say early to mid game. We're getting it like slightly better than these very early game sets. Alright, we've got those. What do we have? Farm Armor. Ooh, nice. So Farm Armor is basically an upgrade to Farm Suit Armor. It has decent defense actually, and it has some health, but Hardened Diamond is probably still better to go for. We're going here. I'm running out of slots, man. So this is actually a pretty interesting set. So it's these 4 random pieces. The Guardian Chestplate, the Creeper Pants, the Spider Boots, and the Skeleton Helmet. So obviously they have their item abilities, but if you put it on, there is a full set bonus where you take 25% less damage, and you deal 25% more damage. Now there is an add-on to this set. If you take the Tarantula Boots, instead of it being 25% less damage, it's 35. It's not that bad. It's actually a decent combination. I'm going to be ranking the Tarantula Boots separately with the Tarantula Armor, but this represents all these 3 pieces. Growth Armor. This is an interesting set. You get decent defense and decent health, but every piece, you can gain an extra 100 health. It's decent. Not a lot of defense, but the one issue with this set is that it is fairly difficult to obtain. As you can see, it takes 8 stacks of enchanted dark oak wood just for that chest plate. So basically a stack of enchanted dark oak wood for every slot, so 24. It's not that it's a bad set. It's that it's not worth the grind. Actually, no, we're going to put this somewhere else. We're going to put this in the flex one here. It's like a subtle flex, but it could be better. Flexes are basically very expensive sets that are not really worth going for. The price is too high, and it's not that great. So right here, we have Speedster Armor. Decent defense. You also get speed. Plus 80 in total, so 60, and then the 20 set bonus. It's not... I think it takes like 3 million coins to craft if you buy it from the vendor. So that is the only issue I'd say with it. It is very expensive for what you get. So I'm gonna put Speedster at like maybe mid-game. I don't know. I'm actually gonna move the Skeleton Helmet higher because it is kind of expensive to obtain. So right here we have Emerald Armor. This is an early game set that's only good if you are grinding emeralds. So it's based off your collection. I grinded it and then I got like 400,000. The thing about Emerald Armor is that the stats are not that great. You can see I have 75 health, but that's from the growth enchant. Because it's based off your collection, a lot of people are not going to have that high of an emerald collection. It's just not worth placing those minions to get that much more defense. You're better off placing something like clay minions or any money-making minion, and then using that money to buy a set that's better than Emerald Armor. We're going to put it in mid-game, because it can be good. I want to rank these off of what they can be, like the highest potential they have. This can be a decent set. Situational is pretty obvious. It's ones that are only good for specific things. So Angler is obviously going to be the best for fishing because it increases their spawn rate by 4%. You also take less damage from sea creatures. You also gain health for your fishing level, but it is one of the best things for fishing. There is another fishing item that we can look at later, but for now, I'm going to put this in situational. I also copied that from Mindtricks. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. I also have all these helmets, by the way, so I'm going to be ranking all these. It's going to be a little bit interesting. Now, here we have the Miner's outfit. It's not the Miner armor from before, but you gain permanent haste 2. The stats are not great, but because you gain that haste 2, it is nice for early game mining and stuff. You could obviously get haste 3 or haste 4, so there are better variants. You know, I'll put it in situational, alright? Because it is pretty decent early game. You don't have to brew haste potions. I'll just put it there because I think it's worthy of it. Here we have Ender Armor. Now, I'm not going to put this in situational, but the only reason I put it here in the first place is because all stats are doubled on the end island. So it includes everything from health, defense, reforges, everything. So obviously outside the end, it's not going to be that great. The stats are not too good. But obviously inside the end, it's going to be much better. I'm going to put this in the early game section because this is an early game set. You're working your way up to the end to get to late game. Here we have the Pack Armor. It's pretty strange because it relies on other people around you. So for every person around you within 30 blocks, you gain 80 defense and 35 strength. So obviously that strength is going to add up. There's way better sets for Wolf like Mastiff Armor, which are... They require growth armor, so that's the one thing that growth is used for. But it's just not worth going for this because if you're going to be using it for wolves, you might as well get Mastiff Armor, which is so much better. Anyways, I'm going to be putting this in the trash don't use it section because you should not be using this. Zombie armor is weird, and the one reason that is, it's kind of like Revenant armor. Revenant armor also only has 3 pieces, and they're both designed to kill zombies. I mean, Revenant armor is a lot more towards zombies, but the reason they both don't have helmets is because there's 4 helmets that go for them. You have a zombie heart, 50 health, and it doubles all healing effects. A crystallized heart, which is a better variant of that. You have the revived heart, which is also an upgrade, more health and intelligence, and then you have a Reaper mask. Mine is enchanted and everything, so the stats are not exactly the default ones, but you get a lot more perks like double zombies from Reaper Scythe and stuff, so this is obviously an endgame item. It's a subtle flex, alright? I'm putting it there. I feel like this whole flex wall is just messing things up, but I'm gonna keep it anyways. So right here we have Spooky Armor. This is the lower tier version of Bat Person Armor. Spooky Armor is only meant for the Spooky Festival. You get 5% more chance for candy per piece, and then if you have everything, you also have an additional 5%, so 25%. I'm going to put this in situational. The next set is Snow Armor. It's like Spooky Armor V2. Instead of it being for the Spooky event, it's for the Gift Attack minigame on the Jerry Island. Anyways, every piece gets you a 5% more bonus gift chance for every present you earn, so very good for the Gift Attack minigame if you're trying to get more presents and all that stuff. Stats are alright, not that great, but I'm going to put this in situational as well. We also have Crystal Armor, and I'm putting this in situational because the only time I would ever use this is for mana. And there's a reason for that. So as you can see, if I put it all on, I have 1,411 mana. But if I get into like a darker area, my mana goes down. It scales based off your light level. I don't think anyone would ever use this at any other time because the defense is not great. I'm personally going to put this in situational. The next set here is Revenant Armor. Lots of health, some defense, but you gain defense against zombies as you get more kills. So this is really good for the Zombie Slayer, where you need a lot of defense and a lot of healing. I feel like if you're doing any type of Slayer, you're more late game. So I want to put all the Slayers in late game. The next piece here is Wise Dragon Armor. Very good because you get a lot of mana. It was actually nerfed, so all abilities cost 66% of their mana cost. So I'm thinking we're going to put this in the late game area. It actually may be more like end game, I'd say, because there is absolutely end game. We also have Old Dragon Armor and Young Dragon Armor. Old increases the strength of your growth, protection, feather falling, sugar rush, and true protection. So basically every type of enchant you can get. I still don't recommend it because if you're in this stage of the game where you have any form of dragon armor, it's just so much better to get one of these ones or superior. Like, old has potential, but it doesn't have that much damage. So I'm going to put this in, like, late game because it is a dragon armor. I'm going to put all of them in late game. In fact, I'm going to put this in there as well. I'm also going to do the same for young. You get a lot of speed, so that is one thing it has for it. We also have Protector, which is just a bad armor set in general. The stats are pretty decent, a lot of defense, and the defense increases for every missing percent of HP. You can see my defense just went up to 800, and as my health increases, my defense goes down. So I'm going to be putting Protector Armor probably around, like, mid-game, honestly. It's just not worth going for. Now, I've covered all these sets here, but I actually want to cover a few of these helmets. Most of these helmets you can still obtain. There's a few that you can't, like the Salmon hat and the Blaze hat as well. Okay, so right here we have Farmer Boots and the Lantern Helmet. Basically, the Lantern Helmet gives you 2 defense and 4 health per farming skill level you have. It can be really good if you have farming 50, so you get 200 base health. Same for the boots as well. You get 4 speed per farming level you have and 2 defense. So I'd put these in mid game, maybe when you're grinding, actually maybe late game, but they're so easy to obtain. Maybe there. I don't really know where to put it, frankly. We also have the Squid Boots, 100 HP, but I don't see anyone ever using this. You can do this if you want. It's kind of weird, but not really useful. I'm going to put this in trash, don't use. I'm going to run out of slots soon. These next 4 helmets are pretty good. We've got the Zombie Heart, Crystallized Heart, Revived Heart, and Reaper Mask. I already covered these, how they upgrade on top of each other. I'd say if you're starting to do revs, this is definitely where we're going to be starting. Maybe with a Crystallized Heart. Maybe like mid-game, I'd say. And as you get this, you're probably still mid-game. I'm honestly just going to rank it like this. Like, this is a flex, honestly. I kind of just want to fill these, but absolutely endgame. This is such an expensive item to obtain. Obsidian Chestplate, 250 defense. This is a pretty good mid-game armor piece because you get a lot of defense. All right, we have 4 more helmets. We've got the Krampus helmet, which gives you plus 1 HP per 50 gifts given by the wearer. So obviously 50 gifts is a lot, and it maxes out at 500. So by normal, or by default, this is gonna suck. But as you gift more people gifts, this is gonna get really good. You have to gift 25,000 gifts. It doesn't have to be reds, it can be any of them, but it's gonna take you a while to max this thing out. I'm trying to rank it by, like, the best they can be, so obviously, normally, it's gonna be, like, trash, don't even use this. But the best variant can be insane. So let's assume this had 500 HP. This is a flex, alright? It's also kind of rare to obtain. Normally it's bad, but I'm going to put it up here just because it can be really good. Water Hydra Head, 100 health, 100 defense. Pretty good. I'm going to put this in, like, maybe mid-game, actually. The Spirit Mask, you get this from the Dark Auction. They actually just changed the Spirit Mask, I just noticed, so you get speed from it, and instead of dying, you gain 50 speed and damage immunity for 3 seconds. So it's actually better than before, mid-game, but also the stats are not that great, and I'll put it in early to mid-game. The next thing here is the Vampire Mask, 111 defense, and if I go and I place a dummy right here, you can see it takes damage every 5 seconds. It's very situational. It's only good for AFKing. We also have Stereo Pants, which are terrible. They're just good for this. It's about it, really. Alright, if you, I'm gonna put this in help, because if you use this every time, and you use it 24/7, you probably need help. That's a joke, I'm just putting it there. So now that I've ranked all this, we gotta rank all the armor stand ones. We have 14 more sets to go, and all of these are endgame sets, in some way. So I'm gonna start from the least expensive to the most expensive. First of all, we have the cheap Tuxedo suit. You get this for 3 million coins at the NPC at spawn. I wouldn't even use this, even for damage, because you basically get one shot every second. I'm gonna put this in trash, don't use it, because you really shouldn't be using it. Here we have Fancy Tuxedo. This costs 20 million coins from the vendor, but you can get it for cheaper on the auction house usually. You deal plus 100% damage, and you get a bunch of crit damage. So I'm gonna put this in maybe the endgame section, because if you're using this, you're probably doing some sort of dragons or something. Here we have the Elegant Tuxedo. This is very expensive, 75 million coins from the vendor. Max health 250 HP, deal plus 150% damage. This used to be a meta for dragon fights where you would just deal a ton of damage, but it's not really good anymore considering they nerfed the Hurricane Bow and actually fixed it. I'm gonna put this in the absolutely endgame. It's a flex, honestly. I feel like it's so expensive. This is expensive. Sponge Armor. This is a flex set. Like, this is such a flex set. It doubles your defense in water. It should double all your stats in water, frankly. You gain a lot of defense, but there are sets that still get more defense even out of water. Like, even though you get a lot of defense and it gets doubled, there's still sets that cost only a little bit more and you get more defense while in the water and outside the water. So we're gonna take this sponge and we're gonna put this in the absolute flex. You should not use that. Anyways, we're gonna rank this unstable set now. So it's also good for AFKing because it sometimes strikes nearby mobs with lightning. I don't know how often it does, but you also have other sets like Blaze Armor that do it every second. Anyways, you get a good bit of damage from this and it has decent stuff like any dragon set. I'm gonna put this in late game because it is a late game set. I'm also going to do that with strong. You gain a lot of strength. I'm going to also put this as late game. I feel bad for the sponge. It's getting ultimate flex status. Right here we have Superior Armor. We might as well finish off the dragon set. Superior, as you know, is an incredible set. I have it on Wise for now, but you'll probably have it on Godly. So Superior is very good. 10 strength, 10 crit damage, 2 chance, lots of speed, lots of intelligence, lots of health. Overall, a great combination. And also, all your stats are increased by 5%. So this is the best set for Slayer in terms of Magic Find and all that. So it's a great set. I'm going to put this in endgame. Right here we have Tier 12 Perfect Armor. This is a very expensive set to obtain. It costs a ton of enchanted diamond blocks, like 2.5 stacks or something. It costs like 40 to 50 million just to craft this set. So it is very difficult, but it is the most tanky set in the game. That's why I was saying, like, Sponge Armor, there is a better variant to it. Hey, this is obviously a very flexy set. Right now, there isn't too much of a use, but as they come out with dungeons where you need more tankiness, this is going to be very strong. I'd say Tier 12, absolutely endgame, because it is very expensive. Bat Person Armor, this is one of my favorite sets in the game, because it removes your grappling hook cooldown. It's also the best for the Spooky Festival, because you get 5% chance to get candy from monsters, so it's the same as the Spooky Armor. The base stats are not that great, but during the Spooky Festival, you have 3 times all stats, so that's really good. It's also doubled at night, which is pretty good, so overall, a great combination. It's not too hard to obtain, but I'm gonna put this in, like, late game. I feel like it's as difficult to obtain as these ones, and it's pretty good. Right here, we have Tarantula Armor. This is very good in a lot of ways. First of all, you get defense against spiders, and you get a lot of it. And a lot of them have their own, like, different abilities. So the boots allow you to double jump. The chestplate gives you healing reduction, or you're immune to it. And the helmet gives you plus 1% crit damage per 10 strength. So, also, every 4th hit is double damage, which is very good. So, it's great for dragons because you get double damage. And you can double jump, which means you can melee the dragon. It's a really good set. I'm going to put this in late game. Right here we have Mastiff Armor. This is a very situational set. You get a lot of health, but you have no defense. So every 1% crit damage is 50 HP, which is really good. Overall, it's a very situational set. So now we only have 3 more armor sets. This one here is Blaze Armor. Every second, it'll take 3% of their max HP, so it's pretty good for AFKing. There's also a better variant, which is Frozen Blaze Armor. You get a lot of strength as well, I've noticed. So I'm going to put this and this both at flex because they're so expensive. This is so much more expensive too. I'm gonna put these right there. And the last set here is Diver's Armor. Diver's is pretty good. You go very quick while in water, and you can't control it. You just move super quick. Actually, I'm gonna put that there. There we go. I don't know. I might move a few things around. I made a few changes. I decided to change the flex thing. It was a bit confusing. So Sponge Armor, I'm thinking is like, it's obviously an endgame set. I'd say Helmet is actually situational, or the Pack Armor, because it might be decent. Because you don't have to use it against wolves, but it's kind of in the wolf collection. Zombie Chestplate mid-game. Growth Armor mid-game. Blaze Armor endgame. Frozen Blaze Armor, also endgame. There we go. I think that's a better tier list, more accurate. There is one more thing I want to rank. I want to rank the Overflux helmet. Now, I don't have an Overflux helmet, but I do have an Overflux capacitor and a Scythe Blade. This is for a future video, but I'm thinking if I were to put this on the board, and this is risky for me to do, I'd put this in, like, maybe absolutely endgame. There we go. Now, there is one more armor set that hasn't come out, the Salmon Armor, and I want to put a little bit of a fun fact. Salmon Armor is Diver's Armor. Well, it was going to be Diver's Armor, but then the admins kind of released Diver's Armor, and because that was going to be, you know, Salmon Armor, they couldn't just release it twice. And I'm not even kidding, admins have actually said this, so they don't really know what to do with Salmon Armor right now. There's also obviously other armor sets like Ghast Armor, which haven't come out either. Honestly, I wasn't really sure what to do this video so I did a tier list, and hope you guys enjoyed. I do plan on collecting a bunch of more things. I might go for every sword, and I might get every Slayer 7 item. Keyword is might. I mean, I already have almost every recipe, and I just gotta get Spider Slayer 7, and then I'll get a mosquito bow. If this video hits 5,000 likes, I'll make a video of me getting every Slayer 7 item, so like Overflux, and Reaper Scythe, and mosquito bow, and I'll craft it all at once. Anyways, hope you enjoyed, and yeah, I'll see you guys next one. Bye!